What if I told you that reality is constantly trying to communicate with you, but you've been conditioned to ignore it? Every day, subtle messages are placed along your path, moments too precise to be random. A song plays just as you think of someone. A number keeps showing up everywhere. A stranger you meet has the exact answer you needed. You've dismissed these as coincidences, but deep down, you've always felt there was something more. And you were right. Synchronicities are not random. They are meaningful patterns woven into the fabric of reality, gently guiding you towards something greater. Ancient civilizations knew this. Mystics and philosophers studied it, but modern society calls it chance, luck, or coincidence, because the system doesn't want you to realize the truth. These moments are evidence that the universe is not what you've been told. In this video, we'll lift the veil and explore what synchronicities really are, why they happen, and how you can use them to transform your life. From the moment you were born, you were taught to believe in a world ruled by logic, structure, and predictability. Anything that didn't fit within that framework was dismissed as imagination or chance. But what if that conditioning wasn't accidental? What if it was designed to blind you to the deeper forces at play? As a child, you were naturally connected to energy, patterns, and intuition. You noticed how events aligned, how you could sense things before they happened, how you just knew when someone was thinking of you. But when you shared these experiences, you were told it was just your imagination. You were taught to ignore your inner knowing and trust only what could be measured or proven. Education played a major role in this suppression. Schools didn't teach you how to follow your intuition or recognize synchronicities. They taught you to memorize, obey, and follow rules. Creativity, intuition, and abstract thought were pushed aside in favor of facts, logic, and external authority. Science became the gatekeeper of truth, not the science that explores mysteries, but the rigid materialism that insists everything is random and meaningless. According to that view, seeing 1111 repeatedly is just a mental trick. Meeting the right person at the perfect time is just luck. Meaning is stripped away, and you're left disconnected from the forces guiding you. But here's what they don't want you to know. Some of history's greatest minds, Carl Jung, Nikola Tesla, Albert Einstein, understood that reality isn't random. They saw synchronicities, patterns, and hidden links as clues to a deeper truth. Still, society mocks anyone who takes synchronicity seriously. If you talk about it, you're labeled irrational or superstitious. Those who embrace these signs are dismissed, while those who conform to the materialist worldview are praised. This isn't a coincidence. It's social conditioning, because once people start noticing synchronicities, they begin to realize they're part of something much greater. The real reason they don't want you to notice synchronicities is because they crack the illusion. They prove that reality is not just a cold, indifferent machine. It's a web of energy responding to your thoughts, emotions, and frequency. Once you begin to see the patterns, you can't unsee them, and that's when true awakening begins. So what are synchronicities, really? Where do they come from? Why do they seem to increase the more aware you become? At some point in your life, you've experienced a moment so perfectly timed, it couldn't have been chance. You think of someone and they call. You open a book to a random page and find the exact answer you are seeking. You keep seeing repeating numbers, 111, 222, 333, as if reality is leaving clues. These aren't accidents, they're signals. And here's the real secret. Synchronicities are not random events. They're deliberate messages from a deeper intelligence that has been guiding you all along. Reality is not made up of isolated events, but is an interconnected field of consciousness and energy. Every thought, emotion, and intention sends out a frequency, and synchronicities are how the universe responds. They're a bridge between the visible and the invisible, between the conscious and subconscious. Carl Jung coined the term after witnessing countless meaningful coincidences. He believed these events reflected an unseen order beneath reality, a concept known to ancient spiritual traditions for centuries. In Eastern philosophy, it's karma. To mystics, divine timing. To quantum physicists, non-locality, the idea that everything is connected beyond time and space. Mainstream science tends to ignore or dismiss these ideas, even though the natural world is full of patterns and interconnections. From the geometry of galaxies to the structure of DNA, everything in existence follows cycles and symmetry. So why wouldn't human experience? Synchronicities are evidence of a hidden order, glitches in the matrix, revealing the deeper mechanics of reality. Once you start noticing them, you realize that life is far more flexible and responsive than you were taught. If these are messages, then who or what is sending them? Some believe they come from a higher self, guiding us. Others say they arise from the collective unconscious, a shared pool of human thought and experience. Some see them as hints from an external intelligence, whether you call it the universe, God, source, or a simulation. Whatever their origin, one thing is clear. Synchronicities are not meaningless. They are invitations to wake up, shift your awareness, and become a conscious creator. Once you recognize them, the illusion of randomness starts to collapse. So the next question is, how do synchronicities actually work? What is happening beneath the surface to create these perfect alignments? And how can you use them to reshape your life? Let's go deeper. What if the seemingly perfect timing of certain events in your life isn't just luck? The truth is, there's a hidden mechanism behind these moments, one that explains why things can align in ways that seem beyond logical explanation. And once you understand this mechanism, you'll realize that you have far more influence over your reality than you've been taught to believe. At the heart of synchronicity lies a powerful concept. Your mind isn't just passively observing the world, it's actively shaping it. Modern neuroscience supports this idea. Your brain uses something called the reticular activating system, RAS, a filter in your brainstem that decides what information reaches your conscious awareness. For example, after you buy a new car, you suddenly see that same model everywhere. It's not that the cars just appeared. You're now noticing them because your brain has been primed to look for them. The same principle applies to synchronicities. As soon as you begin to notice, believe in, and expect them, your mind becomes attuned to their presence, and they begin showing up more often. But this isn't just about brain filters. Quantum physics has shown that consciousness plays a fundamental role in shaping reality. The famous double-slit experiment proves that the act of observation can alter physical matter at the subatomic level. Reality is not fixed, it's reactive. Now combine that with the law of vibration, a foundational metaphysical principle. Everything in existence vibrates at a unique frequency, including your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs. When you dwell in fear or scarcity, You emit low vibrations, drawing in experiences that reflect those states. But when you align with higher frequencies, like purpose, gratitude, and awareness, your reality shifts to reflect that alignment. That's why people who start noticing synchronicities often begin to experience them more frequently. Their inner frequency is changing, and the external world is responding. It gets even more fascinating when you consider the role of your subconscious. While your conscious mind handles daily tasks, your subconscious is constantly processing deeper patterns, making connections, and recognizing meaning. When you set a clear intention, whether you're aware of it or not, your subconscious begins to align events to guide you toward it. That's why those who believe in synchronicities tend to see them more often. Their subconscious mind is actively involved in shaping their path. Skeptics may claim that this is all just selective attention, that your brain is simply highlighting random events. But if that were true, why do these events often carry such personal significance? Why do they show up precisely when you need clarity, support, or direction? Synchronicities aren't random. They're a subtle form of communication between your conscious mind, your subconscious, and a deeper intelligence that governs reality itself. The key is learning how to cooperate with them rather than dismiss them. When you do, synchronicities not only increase, they become powerful tools for transformation. So, why do some people experience synchronicities regularly while others never seem to? The answer lies in awareness, alignment, and belief. Most people are stuck in a purely rational, materialistic worldview. They're conditioned to believe life is mechanical, governed only by cause and effect, with no deeper intelligence at work. This belief system blocks synchronicities from being noticed. Even when something meaningful happens, it's often written off as coincidence. Think of it this way. Imagine you're surrounded by radio signals, but without a receiver tuned to the right frequency, you'll never hear them. Synchronicities are like that. They're always there, but only visible to those tuned into them. Now consider people who live in alignment with synchronicity. They aren't special. They've just trained their minds to be receptive. They pay attention to the strange timing of events, trust their inner knowing, and follow where the signs lead. And as they do, those signs multiply. That's because of two forces: the subconscious mind and the law of vibration. Your subconscious is constantly scanning your environment, picking up on patterns, symbols, and connections your conscious mind might miss. When you value synchronicities, your subconscious prioritizes finding more. It's like setting a filter. What you choose to focus on becomes what you continue to experience. As for the law of vibration, your emotional and mental state affects your energetic frequency. When you're trapped in low-frequency emotions like fear or doubt, your awareness narrows. You become focused on problems, survival, and what's going wrong. In this state, you're disconnected from the patterns guiding your path. But when you elevate your frequency through gratitude, presence, and intention, your energy expands. You start resonating with the rhythm of the universe, making it easier to see and attract synchronicities. This is why people who meditate or practice mindfulness often report a surge in these experiences. They've cleared the mental static and tuned into a deeper order. There's one last ingredient that separates those who thrive on synchronicity from those who miss it: trust. People who experience synchronicities often trust them without overanalyzing. They act on signs instead of doubting them, and in doing so, they reinforce the connection, inviting more to appear. But when you see a synchronicity and ignore it or hesitate, that signal weakens and the pattern fades. Synchronicities aren't just messages, they're doorways. They're invitations to step into alignment. But you must choose to walk through. So the real question becomes, how can you strengthen this connection? How can you learn to notice, understand, and respond to synchronicities so they become a powerful guide in your life? That's what we'll explore next, because once you learn how to decode the signs, your entire perception of reality begins to change. Once you learn how to recognize synchronicities and interpret their meaning, you'll realize that reality has been trying to communicate with you all along. The first step is shifting your perspective. From seeing life as random to understanding that everything is interconnected. The universe speaks through signs, symbols, and perfect timing. These signs often show up in three main forms. Repeating numbers. Ever noticed numbers like 1111 or 222 showing up repeatedly? These sequences aren't random. They carry energetic significance. In ancient traditions, numbers were seen as the building blocks of creation. When they appear often, it's a signal that something in your life is shifting. Pay attention to what you're thinking or feeling when these numbers show up. Your subconscious is trying to get your attention. Symbolic signs. Sometimes synchronicities show up as objects, animals, or songs with personal meaning. A specific lyric at the perfect moment, a repeated phrase from different people, or an animal crossing your path unexpectedly. If it feels meaningful, it probably is. Aligned events. These are the so-called coincidences that feel too perfect to be chance, like meeting the right person exactly when you need them or getting an unexpected opportunity just as you're about to give up. These events are guiding nudges from the universe. To decode synchronicities, start asking questions like, what was I thinking or feeling just before this happened? Is this sign confirming or challenging something in my life? Does this message connect with a recurring theme or past experience? Keep a synchronicity journal. Write down unusual or meaningful moments. Over time, patterns will emerge and guidance will become clearer. The more you track these moments, the more they begin to show up. But recognition is only the first step. Taking action is what leads to transformation. If you keep seeing the same symbol, number, or message, it's a prompt to move. The universe is waiting for your response. Now, how can you invite more synchronicities into your life? It comes down to three key steps: intention, alignment, and action. Set clear intentions. Synchronicities are drawn to focused minds. Be specific. Ask the universe directly, show me I'm on the right path, or send me the next step toward my purpose. Don't expect a straightforward answer. It might come through a song, an unexpected meeting, or a dream. Align your energy. Your emotional state affects what you attract. When you're stressed, fearful, or overthinking, you block synchronicity. But when you're grounded, grateful, and open, synchronicities appear more often. Practices like meditation, gratitude, and visualization help raise your frequency and open the flow. Take inspired action. This is where most people fall short. They notice the signs but hesitate. But synchronicities are not just messages to observe. They're calls to act. When you follow these nudges, you open new doors. And the more you respond, the more the universe sends. People who experience frequent synchronicities aren't just lucky. They're engaged. They listen, trust, and move. As a result, life seems to support them effortlessly. So now that you understand how synchronicities work, the question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Most people notice a sign, feel amazed, then ignore it. They wait for more proof. But certainty only comes after action, not before. Society has conditioned us to dismiss these signs, but you now know better. Reality isn't random. It's intelligent and responsive, and you are part of that intelligence. Your thoughts and emotions shape your path. Every synchronicity is an invitation to evolve, to trust, to align, and to act. If you ignore the signs, they fade. But if you acknowledge and follow them, life transforms. The universe speaks softly at first, but if you don't listen, it speaks louder. And if you still don't respond, the signs stop altogether. That's when you fall back into unconscious patterns. But if you pay attention, trust the signs, and take aligned steps, your life begins to flow. Opportunities appear, doors open, timing becomes perfect. The people who live in synchronicity aren't lucky, they're aware. They're co-creating their lives with the universe. And now, so can you. If this message resonated with you, leave a comment. I understood it.